Once a thriving train stop, Engel, New Mexico isn't a thriving anything these days. In fact, there's really only a single business still operating. It's a ranch called the Amanderas. And maybe you've heard of the ranch owner, a guy named Ted Turner. Turner bought the 358,000 acres of central New Mexico in 1994, and ranch manager Tom Waddell came aboard to run the place.
I said, what am I supposed to do? They said, Ted said, put it back like it was. He said he wants apple-mouthed falcons and prairie dogs and be ready for buffalo in 6 months.
Ted Turner is big in the buffalo business. In fact, he owns the largest herd in the world, with 50,000 head on 14 different ranches nationwide. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, and buffalo are far from the ranch's only attraction. This group is on a unique tour of the Amanderas, one of less than a handful of tours like it each year. The Geronimo Springs Museum in Truth or Consequences has the unique opportunity to market these tours as a benefit for the museum. That's fitting, since the museum dedicates much of its exhibit space to the preservation and display of New Mexico's ranching culture. Museum director Lorena Miller actually starts the tour on the way out to the ranch. A roadside marker notes the beginning point of the Jornada del Muerto, or Journey of Death.
And of course, when the wagon trains came north and the Apaches on the distant mountains looked at it, they said something to the effect of, oh, a rolling Walmart, let's go help ourselves.
For the modern day trips led by Tom, the threats are less ominous. Four-wheel drive and electric gates are key signs that not everything on the Amanderas is unchanged over the centuries. The dirt roads are at least a small step up from the wide-open landscape Camino Real travelers faced, and a tangle of those rough roads lead to the first stop on the ranch. Turner ranches are known for working to save endangered or threatened species, and on this plot of land, that species is the Bolson tortoise. An observation isn't made easy by their tendency to dig themselves into the landscape.
Now what they do is they go down the hole, then they'll turn sideways.
Once considered extinct, this breeding and research work on the Amanderas is helping the Bolson tortoise regain a foothold, even if that foothold is scratched a couple feet deep in the desert. While on firmer ground now, the bison was also a species in trouble. Almost all of Turner's ranches now include a herd of these huge creatures. And the research into their natural behavior includes discoveries like they aren't really prone to large herds at all. Given the open space and the opportunity, they form smaller family units on the Amanderas and other Turner ranches. And while research and conservation are key goals, this buffalo thing is a business as well. And that includes hunting on the ranch. Deer, buffalo, even the exotic oryx are targets of hunters who travel to the Amanderas. The ranch can host 260 or more hunts in any given year. Of course, the only weapon on this trip is curiosity, and the wildlife provides abundant game for such a hunt. But our tour is also a hunt for history. For Civil War buffs, the Armendaris is uniquely rich in sights and stories.
And so this, Paraji, Bosquecito, Contredera up by Black Mesa were the only places that you could get wagons back in the river. And so that's where the little settlements were.
Out here in the desert, the same small river communities that offered hope to Camino Real travelers became key outposts in the Civil War. Most of those communities are long gone, but far from forgotten. Catherine Romero and Pat Nickel are sisters who came from California for this tour, hoping to learn details about the land their ancestors called home over the past 2 centuries.
It's just fascinating because this whole country is so rich of all the culture that's come, over the course of time. So, and I love history, and so does my sister. So, we're just having a good old time.
What Tom doesn't offer in his stories is any romantic sugarcoating. He paints a picture Hollywood doesn't depict, of raids and wars, famine and deadly weather, of endless struggle in the desert simply to survive.
We just didn't have all the ugly stuff recorded, the communications that went on. It was an ugly, ugly world,
And modern times haven't softened the Amanderas all that much. The tour climbs Black Mesa on a steep, rocky road that is a serious challenge even for the high-clearance four-wheelers. The payoff for scraped undercarriages and rattled occupants is a stunning view at the Rio Grande Valley below. And aside from simple beauty, The view is also a perfect overlook at the famed battlefield area that was Val Verde. The tour ends with one last opportunity to see buffalo roaming free. One last reminder that skyscrapers, traffic jams, and internet blogs might make up for our modern world, but the past, in places, still survives.